Welcome to the Creative Brew, helping you keep your creative juices brewing. We're giving out chunks of insight, motivation, and practicality for your creative journey. This show is brought to you by a few great sponsors of mine. First of all, Panels, Comics, and Coffee Bar here in beautiful Oceanside, California. They have some of the hottest graphic novels and comics out right now. They also have an assortment of merchandise, toys, as well as back-issue vintage comics that I'm sure has a few hidden gems in there. Mention the Creative Brew and you'll get 10% off of your next purchase. You can also check them out on Instagram and Facebook at Panels Coffee or go to panelscoffee.com. Another sponsor of mine is Elevate Coffee Trading. And if you appreciate specialty coffee, enjoy outdoor adventure, and love helping elevate the lives of children around the world, then you're going to love Elevate Coffee Trading. Their mission is to extract hope through love, coffee, and adventures. There's free shipping in the United States, and every bag of coffee helps sponsor health and education for children in coffee-producing countries like Guatemala and in areas in need in the United States. You can use promo code ELEVATE21 on your next order, and you can follow their journey on social media at Elevate Coffee Trading, or you can visit online at elevatecoffeetrading.com, and let's start extracting hope together. Another partner of mine is Astropad. And if you're a digital creator like me and you're always on the go and you have an iPad or graphics tablet, Astropad actually converts your iPad Pro or graphics tablet into another professional, really professional graphics tablet. So all your favorite programs, Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, all those full programs that you use on your desktop, you can connect right to your iPad Pro and work like you've got another graphics tablet. So this has been a awesome setup for me. It's been a great asset. It's an annual subscription, but it is well worth it, especially if you're doing a lot of constant design work or illustration work and you're always on the go. I use this tool all the time whenever I'm at a coffee shop working or just out of town. Astropad is the way to go for me. So you can check them out at astropad.com or check them out on social at Astropad out. Another partner of mine is Infinite Balance Reiki. With mental health awareness on the rise, taking care of all facets of your body is critical for any creator. A few benefits of Reiki energy healing ranges from overall well-being, pain management, releasing stress and tension, to encouraging mental clarity. From creators and entrepreneurs to athletes and even the stay-at-home moms, I encourage you to try out Infinite Balance Reiki and let me know your results. For Creative Brew listeners, you can use promo code INFINITE21 for 10% off your next session. You can book your session at infinitebalancereiki.com. And another partner of mine is Cobo Pod, which is where I'm usually recording a lot of my episodes. And it's a boutique video and audio production studio that's here in Oceanside. If you're thinking about doing podcasting, vlogging, just creating content, maybe you're thinking about a show. Who knows? Cobo Pod has everything that you need to actually get it produced and out for people to see. They have a sound coach, photographer, all on staff, 4K video, professional audio. Everything is clean. I get reviews all the time about how with the production value of the show and how good it looks. I really feel like Cobo Pod is put the Creative Brew up to the next level. So if you're thinking about getting a podcast and you're thinking, you're sort of on the edge, hey, swing by, talk to some of the guys there. They'll be glad to help. If you're really serious about your podcast, then you're going to need a serious team behind you. And Cobo Pod is the way to go. So you can book your session today at cobopod.org. Welcome to another great episode of The Creative Brew, always giving out insights for our creative community. Today we've got some special guests. I've been trying to get him on for a while, obviously scheduling, children, all that stuff is important. But to be able to have the privilege of bringing on a set and bringing on, I'm going to say emissary Rameses. No, I'm Rameses. Having the luxury and being able to bring these two individuals on. I'm always one of those to where I would say I'm a deep diver, but being able to share insights from other people and gathering that and sort of figuring out ways, how do I incorporate that into my life, into my creative life, into my personal and spiritual life. Those are things I'm always thinking about. So I'm always the daily experimenter, always searching, always seeking. But without further ado, I'm gonna let Aset and Ramesses sort of share their story, what Free Thought Revolution is, and what they're doing for our planet right now. So without further ado, I'll let them go.
Well, if you're talking about what we do for the planet, right now it seems we are forming, I think it was army?
Yeah. Yeah.
So as far as the planet, well, the planet's got to have a lot of our little babies running around on it. That's the first thing that we're doing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I have the 2-week-old right here in my lap, so if I disappear, it's because she started crying.
And to Free Thought Revolution, an honest, Free Thought Revolution is a simple idea. It is to take away the centralization of ideas, to take away this grand concept that there's only 1 or 2 or 3 different ways or pathways for you to go. Mm-hmm. It's here's this one, and here's this one, and you don't really get to change it. You don't get to give your ideas. You're told, no, we have somebody that's done that.
Yeah.
But how are we supposed to evolve? How are we supposed to grow if when we're going through these processes of trying to educate ourselves, we don't ever get to challenge what we're being told? Mm-hmm. And we know in life, everything changes, which means that the information we have, we might be able to find a better way to get at that information and to take that onto a more personal level, to take that onto a individual, a human level, to where instead of having groups like us, which we can easily identify as black men,
yeah,
and with the stuff that's been happening recently, that's just been more focused upon because we've been stuck inside our homes. We haven't been able to go out and venture into the world and enjoy the pleasantries and the privilege that we normally get. Mm-hmm. So we saw George Floyd plastered. We saw Breonna Taylor. We saw Jacob Blake. And having my army, I can't sit by anymore and just have these conversations and just yell at folks and say, no, we matter.
Yeah.
Because it's going against the wall. And more importantly, if I just keep telling them Black Lives Matter, then they're going to see, okay, well, that section matters. Well, what if my children end up being what if my children end up being a part of the LGBTQ plus community? Well, that's a whole separate group. Mm-hmm. We're not fighting for them when we say Black Lives Matter. We need to make sure we're fighting for them.
Yeah.
Well, what about our brown people? What about our yellow people? You know, when people want to classify them in those type of groups, it's very isolating. So the thought was, well, let's go talk to all these different individuals, all these different community members, all these different actual persons that are dealing with these real life issues and don't have the economic privilege to escape it. Mm-hmm. And let's stop having the same voices we see on TV telling us what each group is or telling us what they are. And let's give them a soapbox and a mic, a platform, and let's amplify their voice and let's let them tell it so that people get the opportunity to really listen and hear. And instead of laying judgment or putting stigmas on it, you don't get that opportunity because now you have to invest.
Yeah.
Now you have to give an opportunity for their words and their story and their feet and what they've lived to actually impress upon your real life. So instead of us being the conduits that sit here and tell you everything, it's more of us reaching out to people who have those life and who have those experiences and trying to get a collective of everybody being able to say, humanize us, because we're all individual subsets fighting for human rights. Mm-hmm. And until we come to a group and a collective and say that together, well, we're all sticks in a bundle fighting against this huge system.
Yeah.
So it was an idea to use art, paint,
poetry, spoken word. You still got to get your raps on.
Yeah.
But different art forms.
And making sure that it's a message. Because no matter what, whenever you look at anything, whether it's on the TV, whether it's on the radio, it's always catered. It's always produced. Mm-hmm. If you're watching this, it's produced.
Yeah.
But instead of producing it to give people this wonder and this magic, I wanted to make sure that we produced something that was real, that was authentic. And whether it made you cry, whether it made you laugh, whether it made you angry, or whether it just put you at peace, we wanted people to go through real authentic emotions, listening to real authentic stuff, and challenging them to think. Because at worst, you can start a conversation. And if you're starting a conversation, then you're reaching out to somebody who might have something else to say different than you, which then means you're learning. And that's what life is, right?
Yeah.
If we're not learning, we're not living. So it's a lot of jumbled stuff. We can give this philosophical thing, but it's honestly just trying to build a community where everybody gets to say, we're human.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's that's a beautiful statement. I mean, I think that's one of those where we're still trying to figure out, heck, I think we're still trying to figure out what makes us human. But yeah, I think I really agree with you. I mean, until I can say, or even anybody else can say, hey, look, like you matter. It doesn't matter. Yes, you're African American, or you're Asian, or brown, gay, lesbian. It doesn't matter until I can see you as I respect and love you for who you are. We've got a lot to learn. And I think I've always sort of noticed that it's I know we can say a lot of those things and say, hey, like you matter, but I think for a lot of people, until it actually hits them personally, or they get to where they experience that, I think that's when change happens. I've seen, honestly, I've seen people that was, race, I'm from the South, something happened, they have mixed babies, and all they see is love. Until we get that from a general census, I think that there's always still a lot of work to do. And I think that what people like what you, Free Thought Revolution, and what you're, what you're trying to put out in society, and trying to ask the hard questions. Sometimes we can feel like we're living, and we're living in almost like a real comfortable zone. It's very easy to sort of sit on the couch. I mean, the couch feels good. Do you need to sit on it every day? No, you don't. So being able to sort of ask those hard questions, I've found myself even going back to the South. I mean, obviously different culture than out here, and being able to now, I'm like, certain things that I wouldn't question, like now I'm questioning all the time. And I think personally for me, that's allowed me to grow even more. And even to deep dive. I'm working on my graphic novel, and the more that I research various cultures and various tribes and things like that, the more I keep questioning, like just like, who am I actually? And I think that's the beautiful thing, because I'm always going to keep asking those questions, and I think you get the more profound answers when you keep answering those questions. If you keep saying, hey, I told you so, or like, this is it because we said so. When you get that wall up, I mean, there's like you said, there's no growth. And like I said, I'm glad you're able to be bold enough and to have that platform to actually to offer that to people, to be able to express their express what they believe or what they feel, and being able to do it with no with no kind of not necessarily repercussion, but not feeling judged. Like, this is who I am. Take it for what you want, and then that opens up questions from there, and being able to create that conversation. So what Free Thought? Was that how Free Thought Revolution started? I mean, for you, like I said, I didn't know if you could sort of explain that a little bit more, like how, like the actual, like, when you, I mean, I know you probably already had the ideals for it, but like, what was like that moment to where, like, okay, we're gonna make this a actual, we're bringing this into reality. This is what we're about, and putting it out there. What was like that little crux point to where you made that decision?
Well, we're both very creative people,
Yeah.
and I do visual art, and he likes to write stories. He likes to make music. Well, he's just starting to get into music, and then he starts conversations with people everywhere we go and gets really deep,
Yeah.
into things. So he was kind of like trying to do everything. I'm like, pick one thing. Like, I think that you would be really good at podcasting. You have a lot to say.
Yeah.
He's a philosopher, so he has so many ideas on every topic. I don't know. What?
No, that's right. And it came down to what can we do when you're faced with an issue and you're faced with a problem. Most people go, well, these are my options, one or two. Matter of fact, recently was listening to Ali describe the conundrum that he was in when he was resigning to fight for Vietnam. And they were saying he has one of two choices, or he was saying that they're telling him he has one of two choices. I can either go fight, or essentially I'm a coward for not fighting. And he was saying, no, there's a third option, justice. And finding an option that allows the world, because we don't want this to just be Southern California or Oceanside. We want this to be the world. So something that would allow the world to join, to be a community, and to be able to take part. And one of the things that she said I do all the time is I start conversations, and it's one of the easiest ways to learn about people, about cultures. Ask somebody, hey, how are you doing? There's no telling where that conversation can go. Yeah. And you're investing in somebody else at the same time. How are you doing? 4 simple words, and you've opened up a whole caveat of places that you can go and venture. You might end up over there eating dinner and just have a whole nother world of stuff. Yeah. And it's just about trying to take a moment to set aside our fears, which are very real, and they're based on real things, because life is survival. Regardless of what anybody wants to say, life is survival, and every negative experience is one that we tally up to. Don't want that to happen again. Yeah. Whether it's emotional or it's actually physical, a negative response is a negative response. We don't want it. So unless we start opening up and showing, hey, not every one of those experiences was bad. Maybe it was just a learning experience, which we have those all the time. I fall on my skateboard and bust up my whole damn body. I ain't stopped skating. Yeah. Learning experience. Don't step off the board while it's going really fast. I mean, for real. Like, yeah. It's certain stuff where you don't go and say all the time in life, all right, I'm done with that. How many times have we fallen off bikes? Yeah. How many times have we crashed a car? How many times have we gone to a concert and stepped in a puddle on the way there and messed up our whole outfit? We don't take that simple instance and say, all right, write everything off. So it's about taking life as it is and really understanding that instead of using this black and white scale to try to define everything, just use this gradient that's dynamic and find individuals that help fit and raise and evolve your life. Mm-hmm. Because there are friends we have that we meet that last forever. Yeah. But how many friends do we have in our life that we lose? And how much did we learn from them in that process? And most of it was probably just by a conversation. Yeah. So in truth, we're starting a revolution by opening doors, by saying hello, how are you doing? And creating a safe space for that conversation to evolve. That's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And it came from that desire to make sure that the action that we start upon is something that will benefit our kids, mm-hmm. that is done in, I'm very principled. I'm not religious, I'm very spiritual, but I'm principled. And one of my principles is you should pretty much be doing everything in a manner that can benefit somebody else still. We're always going to do things for ourselves. Yeah. But if what you do benefits others in the steps you take, then you're really doing something. And that energy will carry, it'll transfer. Yeah. So it's that trying to create a step in action that everyone can take. And that will create a sort of harmony, whether it's small scale or not. If you humanize someone, that makes their world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the ripple effect. Yeah, Yeah, I think you nailed it. I mean, that's something I talk about. I talk to my wrestling class, my adult class every Wednesday night, and we sometimes we dig. Well, what I have to do is I have to wrap it around in a story for them to make sense. But yeah, I one of the things I tell them is like, look, this isn't just for you. Like if I give you this knowledge, you don't hoard it. You need to give it out and you circulate it and share it to someone else, because it's doing you no good. So it's one of those where once someone has that ripple effect and you know, they start to change their paradigm as far as like, hey, you know what, I do matter. That I believe that energy circulates, it ripples out, and people get connected and they feel it, and they get connected, and you know, it turns into one big, you know, huge ecosystem. I think it takes people like you and a set to be able to almost I would say raise the consciousness a little bit as far as, you know, just for I think for the people that you connect with and just other people in general that may not know about Free Thought Revolution, but maybe in the next, I would say, couple of months or even the next couple of weeks, even hearing this, maybe someone's like, hey, I understand what they're saying. How can I get in touch with them? And, you know, just even recording this and then spreading that out is a ripple effect unto itself. And that's always the beautiful thing. You know, it's always, I think you get some people that, you know, they're wanting to fight, you know, fight against the government, or they're wanting to change certain things, but, you know, how much are they willing to go out and, you know, get people's insights and you know, because sometimes your vision, it's not yours alone. You know, you've got to be able to share those thoughts and be able to bring in other thoughts or other people that can complement you, that can say, hey, look, I love what you're doing. Can I, you know, add this insight and then make it larger? You know, I think that's always the beautiful thing, especially when you're figuring out ways of you know, asking the right questions and then being able to you know, help raise and evolve not only us, but, you know, obviously the children that's coming in this world, because they're coming into something a little wild and wacky right now. And it always amazes me with children anyway, just because a lot of them are always working on genius level anyway. And it's sometimes we get, you know, initiated into thinking that we're less than that. And then we have to figure out ways of remembering who we actually are. And sometimes it takes longer than others for other people. But these children come in knowing everything, you know, just love. They don't see any kind of division. Some of the simplest things they do are the most profound things. And like I said, then something comes along the line and it's like, hey, you're supposed to be doing this or you're supposed to be doing that. I find myself questioning that now every time I see my little grandkids, or I see my little nieces and nephews. I talk to them like they're like, I know you understand me, but, you know, being able to nurture that and being able for them to be comfortable in their own skin and know, hey, look, you know, I've been in an environment to where I know who I am, and being able to nurture those talents and gifts. You know, that's something that, you know, I'm always really particular about the kids, and, you know, being able, you know, for me, I sort of revere them, like I pay them respect, because I know they're working on a level that, you know, that's unbelievable. And, you know, we just sometimes, you know, things can sort of knock them down when they get a little bit older, and then, you know, we get to a point to where, you know, we start questioning everything. So yeah, I mean, I think for the things that you're doing right now, I think you could really sort of change the paradigm of not only this area, but obviously, you know, we're thinking, you know, the whole world. And so yeah, I said we can talk about that for another hour, but maybe on another episode we'll see. It'll be a part 2.
Nah, only got a little bit of time for me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no. So right now, I mean, we're going through what I mean as far as what Free Thought Revolution. I know we've talked a little bit about it. What's the sort of the main vehicle right now as far as how you're distributing content? I mean, I didn't know you had a website. I think you were working on a newsletter or I didn't know if that was in the works. I know with you tend to be one of those where you got 5,000 different projects going. I know you're just like me. I've got so many things, and then but I didn't know what the main vehicle was to put out that information.
The main thing is the podcast,
Okay,
which we have on our website, freethoughtrevolution.com, but it's on Spotify, Pandora,
Yeah.
The main podcasting apps. And then he is doing a Tribune. What is it? Chronicles of a Revolution.
Yeah.
Free Thought Tribune. Is that right?
Yeah.
On the website.
So, to her point, I'm always doing a million different things, and the irony in the podcast is I don't really like talking. I hate it. I enjoy conversations, but I don't want to just sit here and just talk and talk and talk. I like writing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to find a way to truly be able to capture what's happening and not for us to be able to go, hey, we're doing this, but for people to be able to see from a different perspective. Because not everybody wants to sit and listen for an hour or so. Some people like reading. Yes. So I'm actually registered as a journalist with the National Association of Black Journalists. And what we've been doing recently is going out and starting to communicate with different organizations in the community that are doing things that are uplifting.
Oceanside Homeless Resource, is that what you're going to mention?
Well, Oceanside Homeless Resource is one. Enemy Palm is another. The Back Fence Society is another organization. I'm also working on an article talking about Artist Awakening because it's very important that people recognize and understand the significance of art. And also that art isn't just paintings, like some of these beautiful ones that are up in here, but art's in words, art's in skating, art's in dance, it's in music. And the incorporation of all these different things into a message to help get people just to see is great. Mm-hmm. But I like to write. I like to write, and I get lost sometimes trying to create all these things for everybody else. So I wanted to create something that was closer to my heart. So it's Free Thought Tribune, Chronicles of a Revolution. And yeah, it's in the works, but having 4 kids in the house, 5 on my mind all the time, doing the podcast, working the music, trying to find time to still make sure my wife is given the proper appreciation she deserves. And so it's there, but it's, we're reorganizing just because we got the new one recently, but it's fun. It really is, because it's another way to capture what people are saying, because not everybody wants to sit on the mic. Mm-hmm. Not everybody feels comfortable with that. Sometimes they'd rather sit behind and tell you a story and want you to go capture it later. So there's that, and working with Reiki to do an album. We also have Isaiah Briggs, who's helping with that. We have Erasmus helping out, and even Michaela's trying to do something on there. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. She's in the garage painting these huge paintings of our children and her culture. One
painting that I've started and been working on. How long has it been now?
What about
Over
the other?
A month. There's no time with the kids.
Oh, there ain't no other big one sitting above our desk?
That doesn't count.
Oh, it don't count.
So he thinks I'm his personal, like, a la carte artist that he can just order things from. Hey, make me this design for a shirt, make me this painting for a logo. And I'm like,
pause on that thought real quick, because my wife does that. And actually a lot of my family members do that. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I've got other you can't just, hey, can you do a shirt design for me? Can you do a logo design?
But it's all for this, though. So it's not like I'm saying, hey, this is for me. That's for this. I mean, and it's funny because, to your point, on like how Free Thought started. Here's the. Woke up one day, it was like, I got an idea. She goes, what do you mean? I slept on it. I had this dream. So I woke up at like 4 a.m. I'm sitting there trying to draw this thing out. I can't draw for the life of me. I think I woke you up at like 6. Like, hey, babe,
I don't
babe,
remember.
I need you to draw something. She's like, I don't want. I'm sleeping. No, but it's important. That's how it started. Because I was like, no, we got to do it. I'm ready now. Let's go. So we just bought the most minimal stuff we could. Like we bought a little Tascam recorder and bought a subscription to some other digs. But it was, let's start it. We need to. And we will learn in the process. And that's the other thing. So for folks that are listening, we started June 8th in 2020. So we're still really young, and we're still growing and really finding our footing. And it's just really, it's more about trying to find people who can come on and really show the vulnerability. Because that's the thing that is most revealing to people. We did, and it's one of the episodes that seems to really strike a chord the most, is we did an episode on abuse. Mm-hmm. And so to be vulnerable, I have to admit that I'm a survivor myself. Yeah. Not just of domestic violence, but also of abuse as a child. Yeah. And people wonder, well, how can you do that? Yeah. It's very simple. How many times or how many different situations do we sit in ourselves where we go, I wish somebody would stand up and say this happened to them, because it would get somebody to see it, and it might change the narrative. So in reality, when talking about the podcast and its creation, it was how vulnerable can we be and still make sure that we're keeping ourselves and our certain private stuff to us, but still make a change, adding all that stuff into it. And that's the journey that we're going through and learning. So it's and that's the thing too, is the balance of discussing these hard things and not making them so downtrodden, but making sure that I hear you, I got this. And then we did one on psychedelics and the therapeutic use, and so it's just around the board, these different topics that where most people will go, oh, you're not really doing anything for social justice, you're not really creating change. No, we are, but social justice doesn't look one specific way. Yeah. If you look at somebody who is the victim of these separate crimes and only you see a victim, then nothing has changed. Yeah. Because they're not a victim. Somebody victimized them. Just like we weren't slaves, we were enslaved. Yeah. So trying to create a different vocabulary is very important as well. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we discuss a lot in the therapeutic use is drugs aren't the problem. Because there's no bad drug. They take these drugs and they put them in pills and they hand them to folks. Yeah. They make you pay for them. It's the relationship with them. Yeah. And it's getting folks to understand that while we say drugs, or while we say Blue Lives Matter, or while we say just whatever subject it is, we talked about fat phobia recently. It's talking about it, but just getting to what it really is. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it hasn't been posted yet, so.
Not yet.
We did the interview, but it hasn't been posted. If people go look for it,
Yeah, I mean, I know I listened to your last one with even with Kareem, and I've gotten to know Kareem. And then for anyone that's listening, Kareem is actually, I would call him Oceanside's premier food blogger. He goes around and helps support a lot of the small businesses, restaurants, local restaurants, and events, and he goes out and supports them. So quick shout out to Kareem. That's my boy.
Eating Oceanside. Oceanside.
But that was I listened to that one. That was great. And I listened to the whole 1 hour. That was a great episode.
Wow. You said that like that was a long ass time. I listened to the whole hour. Wait, damn, you are a busy cat.
Well, I was doing my work, but at the same time I was listening. I was sitting down. I was like, man, because you really don't. A lot of times it's obviously social media. You get connected, but like you really don't know a person until you start to hear their story, and then you can relate to them a little bit better.
And that's the whole key.
Yeah.
Is something that I really touched upon that really brought it home to me was my brother-in-law. Mm-hmm. He is a decade younger at minimum, skateboarder, like doesn't really want to do into this, that, whatever. And I vibe with that because I'm like, shit, I don't really want to do none of this stuff either. I just want to go skate and play around. Like who wants to really work?
Yeah.
But in looking at us, there's a very, very just stark contrast. Man, we have so many different conversations where there are more similarities than there are dissimilarities.
Yeah.
And I truly believe one of the best gifts that we were cursed with was vision. Because if we couldn't see and differentiate people by their skin tone or by their sex, by these different things, we wouldn't have these classifications.
Oh, no.
And it would allow for people to better be able to embrace one another.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, we're stupid, so we'd probably find a way to do it just using our ears or something. But the general consensus is if we really stopped using our senses to create these borders or these walls to try to put people into these positions before we even sit and learn their name,
Yeah.
then we might be able to get just a whole lot further ourselves, because there's not a single thing in my life that I have successfully accomplished by myself.
Yeah.
So if I can't do any real thing successfully by myself, besides breathing and wiping my ass and, I should probably start ingratiating myself to others and people who have lived different experiences, because they have so much more that they can add to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
real life, just revolution.
I hear that. I said, you got anything to add to that?
Come on. We know I'm the mouth. Like, we got that. And I really wish that we could have some painting up here or something, or just have her start doodling, because it really shows. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to talk about how since the first episode, I was just supposed to be the temporary co-host. And I'm still on it because we can't get anyone to join you that's consistent. But yeah, I don't like to talk. And being on the podcast is, I guess, a challenge for me, you know. It's a fear that I'm trying to get over is, public speaking or even just talking to a person one-on-one. Sometimes I have trouble with.
Oh yeah, I know for the creative types, I'm bad about that. Literally the podcast helped me to be able to like, this is my way of like bringing in people into my world and networking. Like, I am horrible at, like, if I had to go out and like introduce myself, that wouldn't work. Now with the podcast, I've found myself like being more extroverted and like, hey, how you doing? My name is Quantel, such and such. But used to like being, especially as a creative type, like if I had to explain my work or show my work, I'm like, no, I couldn't do it.
That's why most people, I think, get creative and into art is because they don't like to talk. So then they just, that's how we express ourselves is just visually.
Yeah.
So what happened to me?
What?
I'm into art. I hate talking.
You say you hate talking, but you yap all day long.
Yeah, I think he'd be one of those, like, it's like, are you still talking? It's like, it's 5 a.m. Like, what? Go to sleep.
You know what? I don't know if we can be friends no more. This whole thing did not go the way I wanted it to. I was supposed to be called king and stuff the whole time. I'm not appreciating the way this is going. To be honest with you, one of the things that I hope people find in creation, since we're kind of talking art creating, is that you create every day. I really want to stress that, because I've heard from folks, and I believe this for the longest, and this podcast and a lot of what we're doing now is really helping me find my real voice. Like, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But my real, all right, I got it, is when you wake up in the morning and you go put on them clothes, that's your first creation. Like, you're creating something for yourself to go out into the world and show the world who you are.
Yep.
When you go to sit down to eat something, you're creating that next part. Like, everything that we do is a creation.
Yeah.
And if we're grading the beauty of creation and just how magnificent all these artistic pieces and wonderful things are, we're living on a boring blue globe. It's boring. It's just round. It just spins and circles a little star. Like it gets hot. It gets cold. Like it's not really that beautiful, right? It's just perspective.
Yeah.
You know, because that not really beautiful thing is allowing us to still sustain and have that life.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is, don't get caught up in the perception of what beautiful art is. Don't get caught up in the perception that you can't create something magnificent, because in reality, and this is the unfortunate part, is even if you are the most magnificent artist ever, it's probably going to take about 400 or 500 years for the rest of the world to catch up.
Yeah.
And you can take that from the Turtle Ninja Brothers. You know, they know that shit. Leonardo, all them greatest painters ever. But nobody really gave them the true respect until many, many years later.
Yeah.
So,
and I think if you can live with that and know that you're building something, even some of the things that I'm creating, it may not even get the validation until I'm gone, passed from this world. But I'm still going to create it anyway. I mean, I think God, universe wouldn't have given certain things to me, and as well as with you and Aset and some of the a lot of the other creators that I know, it wouldn't be able to give them those talents if it wasn't for something. And you know, I think sometimes it's and I've seen them before where I've known a lot of talented people and they had to give it up because, you know, it could be something where, you know, parents say, you know, get something stable, or, you know, how are you going to make a living doing art, or, you know, all that stuff. I've heard it before. I've heard it, you know, personally from me. And it's one of those to where I've been really blessed to be stubborn enough to keep going. And, you know, I find myself now, and what you talked about, I find myself now through the podcast and through everything else I'm creating, is finally finding a voice and being confident with it, and waking up every morning like, hey, this is how I'm showing up today, and not really caring, you know, what anybody else thinks. This is what I need to be, for my family, for society, for whoever is in my in my general vicinity. I've got to show up.
And to your comment, you can't make a living doing that. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not the living you're thinking, but
yeah,
I'm living. I'm actually out living, and a lot of folks can't really say that. They'll talk about the things they own, the things they have, and all the wonderful things that they can go do. But I will tell you about the friends that I have, about the family that I have, about the wonderful connections that we've made, about the stories we've created. And to me, that is going to last much longer than whatever nice fancy thing that you have. And more importantly, here's something that, and it's kind of what we try to stress to our children, those can't be stolen.
Yeah.
Nobody can steal those memories, those cherished stories from you.
Yeah.
That car, whether it lasts as long as it's supposed to or not, that can get stolen. And what you get replaced isn't the same thing.
Yeah.
So the value system is not in the market for artists.
Yeah.
But the life system definitely is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to take some enlightened indivials such as you. And
I knew you was going to say that. Why you put me on a pedestal? I ain't that smart.
Well, because you could create a platform, create something that's going to help out all these amazing creators and give them the validation and authenticity that they need. Because I think a lot of people tend to devalue art, and they don't really. And after, especially seeing, even with my buddy Dave in there, who's the sound guy, does all these amazing paintings.
Yep.
I had the privilege of going into his studio and checking out like a lot of his artwork and his process. I enjoy the process more than the actual finished piece. And like once you understand that, the value on that painting goes up. And I think people need to understand that. Like you can't just, people are like, oh, well, I'll pay $5 for this piece of artwork. You don't understand the years it took to create the story and the passion behind that. That value has to go up. And I think until I think from a general consensus, like we need to start valuing that a little bit more.
I think people's appreciation
Yeah,
and ability to appreciate has somewhat been stricken from them because as a youth, watching cartoons, we're sold on millions of nonsense toys.
yeah,
And just growing up and seeing that all the time, just all these ridiculous things,
Yeah.
right? And then now we have this big ass business that their whole purpose is to take everybody else's stuff and sell it to you as quick as possible. And if you're just buying all this stuff because it's cheap, because it can get to you as fast as possible, then you're not really appreciating it.
yeah,
And it's something that we know is true. The more you spend on something, the more you appreciate it. And I think if people stop spending these little tokens on these little bullshit that come in the mail because it's just easy to access and started going, okay, first, do I even need this?
yeah,
Probably not. Do I really want this? Will this do something for me? Okay, yes. Do I want this $15 one just because it's easier to get here? Or do I want this one that was made by this local artist? Or do I want this one that's in this local shop?
yeah,
Because we continue to talk about how bad we need to help support and how the economy is doing this to us and this to that. Okay, take actual action.
yeah,
Make sure that you take your money and you invest it in a place that matters. Because you cannot ask somebody to invest in you or spend time thinking about investing in you if you're not even willing to take the time to invest in somebody else. They're there in your face saying, here, I've done this. And I've done this because this is what I love. And I just need you to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And you're like, nah, that's too much money. And what's money? Let's actually think about that. What is money? It's faux paper that somebody has told you is worth something.
yeah,
You could burn a $100 bill right now, and to be honest with you, you've actually gained less weight, less resistance, less friction in your life. So you want to talk value, then let's talk real value.
yeah,
So until we start getting into a point where we appreciate the steps and the moves in life, we appreciate the small things, the actual time it takes, we're not going to get there.
yeah.
So, look, I'm done. That one really frustrates me because
Oh, yeah,
seeing the hard work. Look, Steven Jackson was there last
Yep.
night, right?
Yeah,
He has a piece that he said he's not ready to get rid of. I told him he'd let me know when he's ready to get rid of it because it moved me.
Yeah.
And I started crying because it really moves me that much looking at that piece.
yeah,
And that's just because I have a relation with that piece.
yeah,
Like I've seen some other pieces that he did. I've seen some other pieces that other folks did, and it moved me. But I ain't crying.
yeah,
But it moved me, and it's taking the time to really sit and appreciate and see what it does to you.
yeah. Yeah, I think I think that art appreciation that's something that it definitely needs to happen. You know, it's especially and that could be another episode because you've got to, especially around here, you're almost separating from the higher sort of status type art compared to like more festival, which is a whole different demographic. But it's still art. I'll go in there all the time, and I'll buy something. I'll buy probably one or two things every time. And it's not like, yeah, I actually want this or I need it. It's the appreciation that you put the work and the time in to be able to create this. A lot of times I'll get it and I'm pretty much repackaging and sending it to one of my family members or somebody else because I mean that's something that they put the time and effort in to create something like that.
And that right there is a very key part, though.
Yeah.
Is I don't want to keep this to myself.
Yeah.
This is so nice. I need to share it, and that's how.
Yeah.
That's how the communities that you're trying to reach, that we're trying to reach, are going to grow. People going, yeah, I appreciate this. I need other folks to see this. I need other folks to hear this.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Like we just talked about. How many different names do we talk about during this thing? And this is supposed to be just us. And the whole point of it is, again, it's we want folks to go and see these other folks. Like Jesse Owens, I'll drop his name. Because truth is, I told him, I haven't found the piece yet. He has too many pieces that take me back to my
Oh,
childhood.
yeah.
And that's the problem. Like when
Yeah.
you look at his art, if you're really a kid, oh, I remember this. So it's okay. I got to find the one that really is. That takes me to this one specific place where I. But I mean, all of his stuff
Yeah.
is just so wonderful, and it's just look.
Yeah, on a side note, for anyone listening, Jesse Owens, Steven Jackson, these are local artists here in Oceanside, California. But if you're interested in purchasing any of their artwork, I believe they got websites or access to be able to ship these out. They've got some great artwork. And the thing is, like, everybody has their own vision and style. So I am at the belief, it's almost like the movie theory, to where, you know, there's 10,000 movies, including on-demand, B movies, all kinds of stuff. Someone's got to watch it. So don't ever feel like, you know, you've got a piece of artwork and you're like, oh, no one's going to like this. Someone will like that. You will find your audience.
Not just someone. You'll find many number of people.
Yes.
And that's something I think a lot of creators need to recognize as well, is you're not alone.
Yeah.
There are others that are doing, thinking, wanting to create kind of in the same pathway as you.
Yeah.
Somebody's just got to be that first cat to go, all right, let me put this out there, you know? And one of the things that I hope really happens with what we see a lot is the new wave of art and the new wave of people taking control is we no longer allow the larger corporations to take our stuff.
Yeah.
We no longer allow other folks to deny us the right to value our own property.
Yeah.
To say, no, this is what we value it at. And then go and make this big backdoor deal where they're taking 80% and still giving us a little chunk change. And we're still back at home scrubbing the floor with our dirty drawers, hoping that we got meal coming.
Oh, no. Yeah.
You know, it's this whole dynamic that I see a lot of artists saying, no, I'll forgo the comfort, the safety, the security, and these foretold riches you're going to give me so that I can own what I'm creating and that people can see me as the producer of this.
Yeah.
So I'm proud to see artists doing that, and I'm proud to see them taking it straight to the streets and saying, "No, this is ours. You can't take our stuff anymore."
Yeah. Yep. So circling back around, I mean, like I said, we've already been mentioning like all kinds of names. And a lot of these people are local. Coming back around to the charity event. What's the charity event about, and who's that benefit?
So, you want to go ahead and start? I love hearing your voice, and I know you don't like talking too much, but
Yeah, you might as well get used to it.
I can't even think of the name right now because I'm so nervous.
I feel you on the nerves.
This is practice right here. You might as well get used to it.
I'm not talking on the live event. I'm just doing the sound.
It's called Upholding Community Empowerment.
Okay.
It is on October 9th. For those that are in the Oceanside, North County area, it's going to be at the Hill Street Country Club. And it's to benefit the Oceanside Homeless Resource and In Me Palma. 100% of the charity goes to them. This goes to kind of what we were saying about the artists creating and owning their own stuff. Mm-hmm. It's changing the narrative of what it means to be a humanitarian or what it means to do charity.
Yeah.
And from the podcast, we're just trying to change what it means to be human.
Yeah.
You know, let's stop with all these labels and just everybody humanize us. The next step is to actually go out and really do something and get folks together, because if you don't empower the community, if you don't give them the connection to the resources that they need, then you're still not really helping. You're still just talking to a wall. Mm-hmm. So there's a very large issue that has been amplified because of COVID. And it's people who don't have the privilege to be in a home, which is a human right.
Yeah.
And we have two groups, a charity and a mutual aid that are specifically working out hands with those individuals, with those humans, and treating them like humans.
Yeah.
Interacting with them like humans.
Feeding them, getting to know them, telling their stories, giving them a place to live.
Yeah.
Giving them clothing.
And
showers they work with the
humanity showers.
Yeah.
And as grand a thing as you say that we're doing, we're really just sitting down and talking and trying to get people to open their eyes. They're out in the streets doing it, and we feel it's our obligation to ensure that people know, hear, see what they're doing. To the charity as a whole, the charity is trying to make people realize that in order for you to give back, in order for you to be a part of change, in order for you to be a humanitarian, you don't need a big red carpet. You don't need a gown. You don't need these elegant displays of food, because most of that money doesn't actually go to the charity.
No, it doesn't.
So we wanted to go, look, here's some local artists who are talented. So they're going to use their talent to try to uplift the community. They're going to sing while you're able to look around at some art that's up on the walls and bid on it. Then we're going to have somebody come up and share some words and poetry. And after that, we're going to sit down and we're going to have a discussion. And we're going to discuss how we can uphold the community as a whole. And the first thing that I really would like to share as how you can start taking that action is to actually take a step. Most folks are on social media all the time. You sit there on the phone all the time on social media and you wipe many different ways. Why don't you go ahead and swipe and share?
Yeah.
Take that extra 30 seconds, because one of the biggest things that we do is we share all of this just nonsense, this incessant bullshit. Look, this cat got knocked out. Oh, look, this girl's doing this craziness. Oh, look, this campaign person's doing this. You know, if we start filling all these feeds with positivity, or at least with stuff that is trying to raise our minds,
Yeah.
trying to evolve us as a community, then that stuff gets wiped away. And once we start taking that first action, that first step, that's already empowering. Because one of the worst things we can do is carry around dead weight and dead stress.
Mm-hmm.
And when we go and entangle ourselves with that stuff, that's what that is. So start finding stuff that's positive to share. Start sharing stuff that is going to uplift not just you, your friends, your family, but things that also you find endearing that you would share with your kids.
Yeah.
Do that stuff, share that. That's the first step. And that's one of the biggest things that we as a community fail to do, because we have our heads down, busy swiping.
Yeah.
You talk about who the guests are.
Yes, we have the privilege to sit with Ramel J. Wallace, Dr. Lawana Friali Richmond, and Lance Groth of BAM, the SD Mornings. Dr. Friali is of the Afrofuturism Lounge, and she just hosted AfroCon convention.
Okay.
Which you were supposed to come join
Yeah,
us.
I wish I would have made that. I'll be there. I'll be there next year.
No, we will. We'll be good. Who was it? Bad Cat Press was there, and we got the
Black Cat, yeah,
Press.
JD and all, yeah.
JD and Ish, and then Lance Groth is Growth 1031.
All right.
And we're privileged, honestly, because being able to sit with them, with the knowledge that they carry, with the avenues that they've been able to get to, they can help share a lot of knowledge and wisdom with us. Mm-hmm. And not just us, but us as community members. And the biggest thing, the thing that really we hope really sits is we're going to discuss a problem. We're going to discuss how it affects everybody. We're going to discuss the solutions. But most importantly, we're going to connect the community with those solutions and those resources, because all the time we tell folks how to do this stuff. Go do it, go do it, go do it.
Yeah.
But we don't ever connect them with anything. Well, now we've connected them with the answer and the resource that's already doing it. So all they have to do, anytime there's an issue or problem, go there.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Trying to make sure folks really help, because, well, that's the human thing to do.
Creative tip. What is a creative tips or tips that you can provide our audience? From the creator.
I was struggling with this question, but I'm a teacher, so I'm gonna go with, like, when I think of the kids, like nowadays, you know, they got to learn the 21st century skills, and one of those is being creative, because you know most of their jobs can be taken by a computer nowadays, or coming up soon. So teaching creativity, I learned about Scamper. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's an acronym for basically out-of-the-box thinking. So S is substitute, C is, I'm getting nervous here, combine. You know, A is adjust. Like, so it's basically you have an idea,
Yeah.
you know, you have an image or whatever topic, and then it's teaching you how to think of it in different ways to change it, because everything's already been done, right? Everything is a remix.
Yeah.
So it's just teaching you those things that we might do in our head as a creative person, but you don't really think about how do I teach that to someone else.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool technique. I've never heard of that before. Scamper. All right. That is a good tip.
Thank you.
Ramesses, you got any?
Oh. Oh. To my heart. To my heart. To be honest with you, I want to share something that probably is a little different than most people might go and say creation. And I'd like to elicit to everyone listening, no matter what you're trying to create is the first new thing, it's been done. So don't get hung up on trying to make sure that it's the best new flashy thing, because everything in existence that could be done has been done.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, take the time to focus on the thing that really matters, your voice and what you want to say. Because if you get lost in everything else while you're trying to create, there's two things that will always bring you back to center: your voice and what you have to say. That's my point.
Those are some awesome tips.
If you keep me on for another 20, I got like 3-4 more.
Yeah. And then we're going to go into just some words of wisdom, just something that may resonate with our audience, something that people may hear 2 weeks from now, three weeks from now, a month from now, something that's going to resonate with people's hearts. What are those words of wisdom? It could be short and simple.
I didn't, I don't have any words of wisdom. I didn't think about this one.
No.
And I need time to think about things. So you go. I'll get back to you next time.
All right.
What words of wisdom in life or
Yep.
what?
It's all intertwined anyway.
Okay. So here's some words of wisdom from a geriatric old fogey millennial who has experienced what many people would say is enough ill experiences for a number of folks. And it is, find your happiness in yourself. And that may be the cheesiest thing, and you might actually hear it everywhere else, but find happiness in yourself, because in your life, there's only one person, one, that you actually have to live with. And there's only one person that is actually truly going to judge you when you look in the mirror, that knows what you've been through. So take out everybody else's voice. Stop worrying what other people have to say. If they're not there for the betterment of your life, just focus on you.
Yep.
Because those people that will be there for you will come because they will see your spirit.
Yep. That's a good one. That's great.
I agree.
Oh, hell no.
Ditto.
How everybody back, man, look.
And and then how can people reach out to Free Thought Revolution? Maybe they're sort of lost in their voice, and maybe they're like, hey, I need to, there's things that I want to put out in this world. How do I get in touch with Free Thought Revolution? What's the easiest way?
freethoughtrev@gmail.com, or because Revolution was taken already. And,
By the way, hey, if y'all know who has freethoughtrevolution@gmail.com, let them know we need our digs back.
or if they go to the website freethoughtrevolution.com, then there's the links for the email and the Instagram and all that. But most of our stuff is just Free Thought Revolution, whatever, at Instagram. I mean, that's the main one we do,
Okay.
but we don't like doing it. We're not very good at it yet.
To add to what she's saying, I'd like to just make sure that if you want to reach out, you don't have to reach out because you want to be a guest. You can reach out because you have some art that you want to submit that is just a powerful message.
Mm.
You can reach out because you have a piece of poetry you want read, a piece of poetry you want read. You can reach out for music that you want on there. We are simply a soapbox and a mic to start a conversation to make sure that everybody is humanized. And we can't do it alone. So if you're reaching out to try to submit, you can reach out for that. If you do want to be on, you can reach out for that. If you just want to talk, honestly, reach out. Because I know that sometimes the avenues that we try to find to reach out aren't always there. And if I can be an ear, I'll be an ear. So please, just reach out if you need. We'll try to get you connected to what you need, and holler at your boy. You know, we gangsters. We doing all kinds of things up in y'all.
And you know what? This has been a very enlightening episode of the brew. Like I said, honestly, I could go another 45 minutes to an hour on some topics. We may leave that for a future episode. But it's always good to have warm spirits like Ramesses and I said. And what's the little one's name?
Tarette.
So did that sound like an invite, a future invite? That sounded like a future
Yeah,
invite.
I was bringing back my past guests.
Oh, always. Oh, well, now we're not special again. See, you know what?
Well,
I'm done with this.
You're special in your own way.
You're very, very.
But you know what? This has been a great episode with Free Thought Revolution. They've got, like I said, they've got the charity event on October 9th at the Hill Street Country Club. Please come out. If you're in the area, please come out, support, share, like. You know, don't sit there and just like it and don't do anything with it. Share it out, repost it. Everything matters. Everything helps. So I think it's going to be an awesome event. Also, too, before we sign off, I always give out little creator shout outs. If you're in the area, you wasn't there yesterday, Dave Dorman, Stephen Jackson, Jesse Owens, who we talked about briefly, they all had a great art event. That they all have pieces of artwork that's available for purchase. So if you're interested, I'll put their information in the show notes for anyone that's wanting to contact them for any kind of artwork or art exhibit or gallery inquiries. I know my buddy Dave, he actually has an art rep now, so you're gonna have to contact his representative for that. But I always want to give a quick shout out to some of my creators. Yeah.
Can we say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that we're going to have our event on Zoom too, since we know a lot of people can't make it or because of COVID.
That's great.
So there's going to be, if you go to the website, you can also buy a ticket for the Zoom.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, that's great. That's how you use technology right there. That's good. But other than that, and I plan on bringing these two back on. She's got to work on her on her podcasting skills because she's nervous, and Ramen says I have to give him another hour to talk because 1 hour is not enough. But hey, this has been another great episode, and also shout out to the Cobo Pod. Shout out to my buddy Peyton. I always mess with him. That's a photographer. Got some great photos. If you get a chance, book them for your next. If you're needing some photography, videography, he is awesome in what he does. So I want to give a quick shout out to him and just helping to promote him too. But other than that, this has been me, Ramesses, Aset, and I keep. Tarette. That's a powerful name. And this has been the Creative Brew. So once again, be creative, stay inspired.